And then you start, or I'd be in the shower, I'd be eating a sandwich, and then you get that bubble that just goes, and I'm like, oh, she's the one that has the hook of these. And I write it on a stickum, and I stick it on the arm. What happens is, as years go by, you now have it shingled with all these little oceans and ideas. And I'm fortunate in that I've been doing it long enough now that I have all these stories and characters that are all at various stages of being papered and ideas and random thoughts. And so when I finally sit down to work on it, I'm like, all right, I got a little bit of a meal here to get started. So it's never like just a drawing.
Right.
I wish I was. It's usually a combination.
It just seems so organic when I've watched you do it that it seems like, wow, it just comes up so fast. There's a million books in this guy just by doing a few drawings. We have
my blessing.
What's that?
It's my blessing and my curse. I mean, it is a constant.
Yeah.
It's just constant.
We had Gary Whitta on yesterday, and something you were talking about putting that idea away for a little while, putting the Kenny and the Dragon stuff away with the posse drawing on top, maybe a few notes. And Gary, yesterday when we were talking about creative writing, also mentioned the idea of giving yourself time and having those relaxing moments. You mentioned the shower or when you're eating a sandwich. Gary brought up Aaron Sorkin, famous screenwriter who did West Wing, etc. Aaron always got his best ideas in the shower, and so when he was working on West Wing, he was on the NBC lot. He actually had a shower installed in his office, and anytime he hit a break, would just go take a shower. It wasn't necessarily a soap shower or anything like that. He's just standing in the hot water to give himself that break. Yeah. I can totally relate. I've talked about how mouse guard for me. The analogy I use is, when Weta was starting work, Peter Jackson was starting work on the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they had found this place outside of Wellington that was going to be the Shire. It was going to be Hobbiton. And they started bringing in bulldozers and, clearing away a little bit of space and making some flat areas, and they started building the exteriors with the doors and the windows and some of the fences and things like that. And they got that all set as though it were new construction. And they did it early enough that they literally abandoned it. They let it just sit for, I think, like a year or more, and let it go to seed. Get overgrown because then it feels like Hobbiton. And it's like you build up the foundation of this thing, and then you just let it go. And I had that with Mouse Guard. There was some stuff there.
Yep.
And I didn't actively work on it, but every now and then little bits little vines would sprout, little grass would get overgrown, and then I'd come in and go, I just have to clip this area and this area so that you can get to the doors. The windows are still visible. But other than that, I like what grew here. I've got to do a little bit of editing. So I think there is a creative through line that we're all experiencing about giving ourselves that break, that pause, letting our brain rest to think about things. It's actively trying to force ourselves to do things.
It's not a 9 to 5 job. It just doesn't work that way. It's a 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. the next day job. It's that kind of job, right? I mean, and I don't know how, the magic that you do in telling a sequential story that's illustrated to that level. I know it's exhausting. I know it's a ton of work. I mean, I look at these things and they're inches thick. And, that script and what you have to choose to put in the panel and what you choose not to put in the panel and what you choose to make a 2-page spread or a splash page, etc. I mean, there are so many decisions that are being constantly addressed. It's not just a matter of like, I'm going to draw a mouse with a sword. Right. It's so much more than that. And, at a certain point, to be honest with you, I think about it, but I also just kind of give into it because I think it's not just muscle memory, it's like a lifetime of just doing this. and you start to listen to the voices in your head that say, time to take a break.
Yeah.
Time to go walk the dog. Maybe time to go take a walk yourself. That you've done all you need to do on this one. Put it away for a little while. But I have the luxury to be able to afford that because of my success.
Yes.
Early on in my career, I couldn't. I just had to keep going.
Yeah.
But you get to a point, fortunately, where you can take that time, spend the time kind of mulling it over, or go away from it and be fortunate enough to come back with fresh eyes. Like, I don't remember writing any of this. Now that I'm reading it, I can be super critical.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like the difference between, so I've done a little bit of chapter book style illustration, nowhere near as much as you have, but I've done a little, and then I've done graphic novels, which are also, I think, a different way of selecting the moments.
Yep.
And you've done a lot of chapter book illustration or those kind of key moment illustrations, whether it's a picture book or a chapter book, where the epitome of the moment needs to be summed up. It could even be a couple pages worth of text kind of amalgamated into a single drawing. But even though I know you haven't done comics or graphic novels, I feel like you have done some more of those kind of selective, because I can draw a page that has maybe one key moment that's more like a chapter book illustration. Some of the other panels are almost like just a mouse head where they're obviously about to say something, but it's not that epitome moment. It's a little cutscene. It's a little. It's not necessarily the big action part. And the thing I can relate that I think you have done that with is the field guide, the Spiderwick field guide, because there are certainly pieces that are very big and very bold. Some of them are 2-page spreads. Some of them are single page. Some of them are just the character with no background. And then some of them, you decide to go in and show specific details. This is what the talon looks like. This is what like a naturalist field guide. But you don't do that for every animal in the field guide. So I think, yeah. Well, but so.